Hey guys, it's V. Welcome back to the farm and welcome to our very first vlog of 2022. I'm excited you're here. Today I am sharing some flower farming words of wisdom that are very applicable to new flower farmers right now in January. And I want to show you how we're using our Farmer's Friend LLC high tunnel right now in the middle of winter to have thousands of stems of beautiful flowers early in the spring. So grab your boots and your jacket and let's go. The very first thing you will notice about the high tunnel since our last video is that we have the doors on now. That, of course, is not a coincidence. We intentionally left the doors off, and you know this if you've been watching our channel for a while, but we intentionally left the doors off because some of the crops in here needed that cold weather. We've been busy in here. So you may have noticed that there is now a raised bed in the middle of the tunnel. We went ahead and made that just from reclaimed wood that we had on the farm, an old compost bin actually left over from the days when I just had a teeny tiny little garden. You can see that it was just made really from scrap pieces that were cut really roughly with a chainsaw. This is nothing fancy, folks. Super easy to do. It's about 3 inches tall, maybe 4 at the most, so not a very deep growing bed, but we didn't need a very deep growing bed. And as you may have also seen, we have it full of our ranunculus. They still look a tiny bit sad. They just got transplanted into this bed, but I am so thrilled to have 25 feet of beautiful ranunculus growing for the spring. If you're someone who is thinking about getting a high tunnel, I would highly recommend growing ranunculus in your high tunnel, especially if you're in zone 8B or you're somewhere that it gets really wet. They are going to benefit so much from that little bit of protection, and they're going to bloom a bit earlier. All of the ranunculus that we're growing this year are the Tekaloti variety. We got ours from Burbee Bulb Co. We love them because, well, they're endorsed by Drew at Clara Joyce, and we love Drew at Clara Joyce, but we love them because they have no minimums. They also sell retail, so if you're just a backyard gardener who maybe you've got like a low caterpillar tunnel that you've been playing with or something, you can also order from Burbee. Now, the other crop that I have going in the high tunnel is, of course, tulips. I have been talking about them since probably October. They are starting to come up, which I am obviously very excited about. And now that we've got the doors on the tunnel, it's staying warmer in here. It's feeling like spring in the tunnel, which feels amazing to me and the tulips. So they are going to start to put on a lot of serious growth and be blooming before we know it. It's been really nice to get the ranunculus raised bed in and the tulip crates situated at the sides. This end of the tunnel is feeling a lot more like its permanent self. When we first got the tunnel in the fall, we were in such a hurry to get the dahlias dug and divided that we just threw some tables in and started using the space right away. And it bothered me so much how unorganized it was, and I didn't know exactly what the permanent setup was going to be, but I can finally say that I've got that pretty much dialed in, and I feel so relieved. On the other end of the tunnel here, this whole end is going to be dedicated to starting seeds. Now, we need a bit of a tidy, and we need some organizing systems, and we need some more tables. Definitely need more tables. But this end of the greenhouse is going to be my little seedling nursery, and you're going to see us get going on seed starting really soon. I always start seeds in February, so some of our next videos will definitely be all about seed starting. I know you guys are excited about it too. That actually brings me to the flower farming words of wisdom that I have for you right now. These are January words of wisdom for new flower farmers or anyone growing flowers at scale or for production. Hear me out. Do not, and I repeat, do not rush the season. Do not rush the season. Do not start your seeds too early. If you start your seeds too early, They're not going to have the conditions that they want, meaning the weather and the climate isn't going to be where it needs for them to thrive, and you're going to lose all of your seeds. But I don't mean don't rush the season only in relation to seed starting. I also mean it in relation to burnout. Burnout is no joke, you guys, especially if you are selling retail in addition to farming thousands of stems of flowers every year, tens of thousands of stems of flowers every year. If you rush your season and you start stressing about flower farming in January, you are not going to make it through August. You are going to be so incredibly exhausted and burnt out. You're not going to have the mental capacity to take care of yourself or to take care of your family. And it's just not a good situation. It's not a sustainable way to farm or run a business. So that is my biggest warning, my biggest words of wisdom for flower farmers in January is please, please, please don't rush the season. On a side note, I think one reason that we rush the season as new flower farmers is one, we're really excited to get going, right? I totally get that. The wait for flowers always seems so long. I think a big part of it, though, is also that sometimes we don't know when to start our seeds. So we think, oh, sooner is better, or oh, I'll just start them now and then I can restart more later. That whole pitfall. And here's where knowing the proper time to start your seeds is going to save you so much energy and so much heartache. It's going to save you from jumping the season and then burning out in August. It's going to save you from wasting a ton of seeds. So right now I'm going to share with you very briefly and very, very simply when we start seeds on our farm so that you don't have to stress about it, worry about it, end up jumping the season and being burnt out by September. The very first seeds that I start every year are my cold, hardy annual vegetables. That's right. Every year I start off with the vegetable garden. And in fact, every time there's a change of the seasons, I do the vegetable garden first. Not because it's my greatest love, but it's because that is the place where I'm growing things that are just for me and my family. These are the things that take care of us, therefore we prioritize them, and they're the things that aren't stressful because we're not selling. And I can't tell you how much good it does me as a gardener just to get in there and grow things for the love of growing and not for making money. So right as we head into the last week of January, I am going to be starting seeds for the vegetable garden, things that I can harvest really early in the spring that don't mind or actually thrive in cold weather. And the majority of those things, just so you know, are brassicas. Those include things like kales and broccoli and cabbage. We're also going to throw in some lettuce, of course, and let's see what else. Spinach, bok choy, things in that cold hardy annual vegetable world. And then when the 1st of February gets here, that's when I officially start cold hardy annual seeds for the flower field. Now, if you live in certain zones, you can start cold hardy annual flower seeds in the fall, a la Lisa Mason Ziegler. I've done it before. I chose not to do it this year. I chose not to do it this year because I didn't want to stress about them over winter. And you know what? That was great. And it's totally okay if you decide to do that because you get a quote unquote second shot at starting cold hardy annual seeds for flowers every single spring. But when I say spring, I really mean late winter, early spring, like February. Those cold hardy annual seeds are going to get started indoors on heat mats where it is warm in our house. When they are just a few weeks old, they're going to get brought out here to the tunnel. And the reason we do it that way, of course, is because we are always trying to mimic what Mother Nature does. And what Mother Nature does is she starts her cold hardy annual seeds in the fall. She drops them in the summer. They sit there, they germinate in the fall, they get about yay big, and then it gets cold. And she lets them rest all winter long and they don't grow at all until the spring when it gets warm again. By starting our cold hardy annual seeds indoors, we're mimicking those late fall conditions. And then of course, by bringing them out to the tunnel, they'll be like, oh, Burr, it's winter. And as it warms up in the tunnel, late into February, they'll go, oh my gosh, it's spring. And that is how we mimic that life cycle. Come late February and early to mid March, it is going to be time to start the summer annuals, both for the vegetable garden and, of course, for the flower field. Those seeds will get started in the house, and then as time goes by, as it gets a little later in that window I just mentioned, the seeds will then get started in the tunnel. Of course, I will be sharing with you guys all of the seed starting that we do on the farm. You will get those reminders of when it's time to start seeds if you continue to follow us and watch our videos, which I am so glad that you do. I'm so grateful for you guys. Let me know in the comments when you guys plan to start your seeds and if you've ever been guilty of jumping the season, or if you've ever suffered from burnout later in the year, maybe because you jumped the season, or maybe just because flower farming is an exhausting thing to do. I'd love to know. I love connecting with you guys, and I will see you in the next one. Bye, friend. If you like this video, you might want to check out our vlogs from 2021. You can go ahead and watch the entire season by clicking on the link right here, or here, or here, or here, or wherever it ends up. You get the idea. So click, 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 and I will see you in the next one.